real estate industry is a very wide, diversified industry that covers both land, building, and natural resources. It is also divided into residential, commercial, and industrial. You're welcome to Business Matters. My name is Stephen Ipalbo Lawson. Technological advancement and development is very key, especially in all of the different industries of the economy. And the real estate industry itself is not left out, as it helps them to improve efficiency that will go a long way to impact on their bottom line. Let's have our business update.
Business Matter.
Hey, beautiful, your eyes, your smile are all begging me to take you home tonight. Now reading page 3. Experience unlimited superfast internet access from Entel 4G.
Entel. Live more.
The real estate industry is made up of different professionals in their own different rights. These are people who depend on research and other statistics to make different business projections. And these projections help them to make decisions that will help them improve on their operations. This is the professional segment.
Business Matter.
Thank you for staying tuned with us on Business Matters, Nigeria's premium business program. Joining me in the studio today, as a matter of fact, to explore the topic real estate outlook, trends, and impact is no other person than the Chief Operating Officer and Director of Northcourt Real Estate Limited, in the person of Mr. Ayo Ibaru. How are you, Mr. Ayo?
Very good. Pleased to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great.
Yeah.
The real estate industry, as we've known it to be, is a very important industry or
Yes.
sector, so to speak, in the economy. From your own experience being a professional in this sector, would you like to give us an overview of what it has been so far, the past, perhaps this year, and what the projection might be come next year?
Okay, so I mean, to buttress the earlier fact you said about real estate being a very integral aspect to our economy. I mean, if you build one house, generally you create jobs for a minimum of 13 people.
13 people?
Yes. I mean, if you look at globally now, all wealth, 70% of all wealth is held in real estate. So, I mean, this is an industry that is so core to how money works, how economies work globally, that it's almost strange how we look at it in this country, although that perception is changing. Now, to your other question as to where we're coming from, where we are, and where we're going, I will start with the point that is still fresh in all of our minds, which is the recession. Now, prior to the recession, we had bloated prices. We had prices that weren't really reflective of the realities. And so when the recession hit and, money wasn't flowing as it used to, prices began to moderate. And so you would see that in the real estate markets, and then the office, and then the retail. And so you find that after the recession, prices tanked a bit and then started to recover. And right now, I would say that we are stabilizing. The real estate market in Nigeria is stabilizing. People are getting more confident now to invest in real estate. People are beginning to build houses. People are opening retail stores. Industrial firms are beginning to say, okay, what kind of products can we introduce to the market? I mean, aside the office market that is still struggling for reasons that I will discuss later, everyone else seems to have readjusted to what the market can really afford, and are looking to bring new products that we can all afford. And so I expect confidently that in the next 3 to 5 years we will see more projects come online. We will see unique purchasing models and renting models, come online. So that way, we have more people, taking advantage of the various assets that we have.
Now, one of the underlying elements you've actually mentioned focuses so much on affordability. A lot of people imagine the price factor, the price model that is being operational in Nigeria here does not take into cognizance of some of the realities. Where do you get, for example, you need to buy a 2 or 3 bedroom duplex somewhere in maybe one of the eyebrows of Lagos State, for instance.
Yes.
And then you're expected to pay bring out a whooping amount as 100 million. Where do people get that from?
I mean, let me put part of what you said in perspective. So the famous Banana Island really, as of our last, because we publish reports in my company, a free report, as of our last check, land values and property values really in Banana Island are the most expensive in West Africa.
Wow.
So let's start with that. Now, and then when you say affordable housing, people now say, so in the same sentence, you said affordable housing, then you said highbrow. Nah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's possible, because land prices in Nigeria, I think, is where the calculation starts.
Okay.
And so you cannot buy a square meter, something at 230,000 naira per square meter, 250 per square meter, or as high as 385 per square meter, in BI and Ikoyi, and then expect to put something on that that will be affordable. Now, if you notice, I'm going a bit off the affordable question. I will come to that later. You see, because once you have land prices at a certain amount, there's only so much you can do to bring down prices. I mean, 90% of what we use to build is imported. The government will tax you left, right, and center. And hopefully your documentation, your processing, your land titling will survive the arduous task of going through our system, And by the time you come out, you've lost maybe a few months. I mean, it takes so long to have your papers in place that by the time you are bringing your property, bringing it to the market, you have no other choice but to just look at profitability. So profitability is almost the name of the game when you're building in highbrow and middle income areas. But you see, when you say affordable housing, there are a number of sides to it, and if the government isn't coming in, it will be difficult. Okay. Land prices have to come down. Governments have to...
But who determines the land prices? Is it not the private investors themselves who determine?
Market force.
Market forces, okay.
Market forces, demand and supply. I mean, that's one way to look at it. I mean, there are other angles we can come at this, but I'm not sure how much time we have.
Yeah, we don't see so much of speculation playing out its own game in this regards.
Actually, we do. I mean, it depends on, okay, so let's look at Lagos. It depends on where you're looking at. So if you're aware of the Shangotedo axis, I mean, it went up by 18 to 21% last year in land value, largely because of what Dangote is doing at Lekki Free Trade Zone. And around that area, there's so much speculation. I mean, we were speaking with some consultants who, focus on that area, and, in confidence, the amount of speculation going on there, it's mind-boggling, so there is speculation, but that's in areas that are still not fully formed, they've not been fully defined yet. But in areas that we all know, and love, the Kejas, Jerry's, Suruleres, Lekki, and all of that, speculation I wouldn't say it has too much of a say in what goes on there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But one of the things that interests me, especially with everything that is going around the world in terms of digital disruption.
Yes.
And one is wondering some of these trends that everyone seems to be experiencing across the value chain of different sectors has any impact or bearing on the real estate industry.
Okay, so when technology comes in, efficiency improves and costs go down. And in Nigeria here, you cannot cut your costs without emphasis or particularly emphasizing on efficiency. You have to be, and that's where technology comes in. So there's a field now that is evolving. It's called PropTech. I'm sure our viewers are aware, and they know about these things, where there is an attempt to get technology and infuse it with the various tasks that we do to buy a house or to sell a house or to rent a house and all whatnot. A very good example. 5-10 years ago, you wanted to get a house, you would have to buy a magazine, you would have to call your friends, you would have to walk the streets if you ran a services firm like I do and my partners. But now you just go online and you Google. And I can tell you there are 3 or 4 companies that will come out because what they've done is become an aggregator. So they get all these details, put nice pictures, and I mean anyone can just Google and So I mean that's where technology has come in. Then there are areas, a friend of mine, there are areas in security, facilities management, and a friend of mine runs this company and they develop an app. And what happens is from the app, it can tell you, who's coming in, who's going out, who should be allowed in, who should be allowed out, when last your front door was open, smart buildings and all of that infused into the app. So technology right now is, and there are so many young guys. I mean, a few guys that I know, we meet regularly doing many things around property technology. So whatever you can do to get by or sell a property, design a property, there's someone somewhere who has built an app, who has built an aggregator, who has built a website. In fact, a friend of mine launched something 2 weeks ago. It was also in one of our popular newspapers. And it's really about construction prices. You don't need to go to all these markets anymore. So you have cut out the middleman. You don't need to move around. You don't need to go through traffic. You just go online and then you type in a few things and you see all the prices.
We're going to be taking a break right now. Viewers, please stay tuned. We'll take a break. As soon as we come back, we'll continue on the topic real estate outlook, especially in Nigeria, what the trends and impact are. And in the studio with me is Ayo Ibaru.
Experience unlimited superfast internet access from Entel 4G.
Entel. Live more.
All right, thank you for staying tuned. If you're just joining us, this is Business Matters, Nigeria Premium Program, and we are looking at the topic, Nigerian real estate outlook, trends and impact. And in the studio with me is the CEO of Northcourt Limited in the person of Mr. Ayo Ibaru. Yeah, Ayo, before we went on the break, we were looking at some of the impact of what technology has come to bear, especially in the real estate industry. But one of the things that actually brings to mind is how has the issue of finance been able to bridge the gap, especially when it has to do with meeting the housing deficit that we have in Nigeria?
Okay, so people who are familiar with the industry will know what I'm about to say, that Nigeria's housing deficit is 17 million units. Everybody knows that. I mean, some argue now that it's 21. I mean...
Well, either figure is still large.
It's still
in the millions.
And I mean, there are calculations that put it above that, but we won't go into all that detail now. Financing goes where returns are highest. Let's be very clear about that. If returns are not high, if they're not predictable, and if they're not consistent, it will be hard attracting finance, which is why people rightly say maybe the government might need to do 1 or 2 things. So there's a joke we always, play around with in my office, right? So when we go out to sell, clients always tell us that, well, I mean, treasury bills are, so when the CBN did what they did, and we will go into that maybe, we said, well, our own yields are not bad. At the end of the day, you still have the assets. And, it's now a conversation we can have. Ordinarily, the risk in real estate is not something most financial institutions want to go into. So I started out as an investment banker, and I did that for a number of years, worked in a few of these leading banks today, who are still very much around. And then I moved into real estate. So the second of my partner, right? Of my partners, sorry. So we know that thinking. Finance will only go where returns are the highest. People have worked for money, so people need to know that if I'm giving you 10 million, 20 million, 100 million, I know what's coming in. So financing is difficult because of those things and the risks attendant associated with investing in real estate. And so those are the challenges that we see.
Yeah, but are you concerned that a lot of these houses that have actually been developed
Yes.
don't seem to be occupied?
Yes, okay, so again, in the reports that we publish, we've been tracking 2016 vacancy rates. I mean, at some point, mid-year, Ikoyi was at 41%. I mean, you have, of course, Yaba and Surulere Classic, they always come to the party, so their vacancies are always less than 5%. I mean, and our projections are that growth rates will be faster on the mainland than on the island. I mean, I can go into more detail, I mean, if we have more time. But to your point, vacancy rates were much higher before the recession because you could afford to spend money in certain ways and you could get away with it. Right now, you can't do that. It won't work. So what we find is housing types are changing. So before you could do like on the island, you could do like a 4-bed, a 5-bed, and you'd be home and dry. Now you do that, you're shooting yourself in the foot, except you have a way of mass producing to reduce your cost. So what happens now is if you're doing a 1-bed, a 2-bed, fine. You will get leased out, you will sell. But if you're doing 3 beds, you better know what you're doing. You must have done solid research before. And that's what I find. Developers now are finding out that to reduce vacancy rates, you must do strong research before you break ground or else you are finished. I mean, you will lose money. We track vacancy rates, so we see these empty houses. Now, vacancy rates tell one part of the story, but why the houses are empty, are also different. So places like Ikoyi, I mean, the place can be empty, 30%. That's what we're looking at now, 30, 39, 40%. But we find that people have houses there, but they have houses elsewhere in the US, in the UK. So they might not stay there. It doesn't mean that the house doesn't have an owner. It just means that the person has quite an amount of money and can afford to leave the place empty. So vacancy rates right now are dropping in Lagos on the average because developers are getting wiser. They are building to demand. So if you're building anything now around VI, around Lekki, around that Lekki axis, you are thinking about the new demographic, so young people, small families, so you're doing 2 beds or really well-designed 3 beds, but mostly 1 bed and studios. So that will reduce. So will reduce your vacancy. So vacancies coming down is a function of what you are building and who you are building it for. So you wake up in the morning and you build a 5-bed, 6-bed. I mean, you can as well throw your money into the Atlantic or the Pacific, whichever is nearer, right?
Yes. One of the complaints we hear a lot of times, especially for business owners, is the fact that the payment plans oftentimes will put a huge burden, especially on your finances.
Yes.
And people wonder, why is mortgage not playing a key role in helping people to acquire properties?
Yes.
Why are different kinds of payment by installment are not being spread for them to be able to acquire that? In other climes, nobody buys a house with lump sum amount of money. So why is that different here?
I always like when people make comparisons, with Nigeria and other countries. I mean, let's be real here. Nigeria is as unique as countries come. But to your question, mortgage rates are extracted or come out of the prevailing economy.
Okay.
We're still dependent on oil, which will not cross $65 a barrel next year. Our inflation is still, what now, 11.61, last time I checked, and it's going up because of our border. Our currency has been propped up for God knows how long, and it's still struggling at 360, 363, which we know cannot last. Even the CBNI is beginning to see that. You cannot wake up and offer a mortgage rate that is less than 10%. You will run at a loss. We should remember that mortgages are businesses. They are private enterprises. They have to make a profit, sadly, or not sadly. No. They have to make profit. Well, you get where I'm going? Yes, they have a board, and they have challenges that they deal with. So I have mortgage friends, mortgage company partner friends, a lot of that, and we talk. And 18% is where we are. If we like you, or if you have a special relationship, maybe something lower. So mortgages are doing the best they can. In my conversations with them, we talk almost every 2 weeks. But you can only jump so high from a low economy. You can only jump so high. So until we see improvements there, I think the rates might stay at.
No, I'm a little concerned because I don't want to imagine that there seems to be a picture that is being painted here that seems more of a gloomy reflection come 2020. Where are we headed to with a lot of these metrics, a lot of these economic indexes do we see a much more prosperous 2020, or we will have to, tighten our belts?
Okay, so when we complain as a collective in Nigeria, we somehow overlook the resilient nature inherent in the country. Many countries I have studied would have imploded by now, and we're still here. And if we go back to what I said about, if we remember what I said about the developers, the developers just reflect a certain aspect of the economy, which is Nigerians generally are just providers, service providers, we are just to, you understand me? So if we look at the economy, what can people afford? And then, we make the adjustment. So what you are seeing is not a gloomy reflection, but an interpretation of what's going on. And by that I mean, people who provide these services and these goods, they sit down and they understand what's going on and they make adjustments. So right now, I was even studying one of our partner firms that they have some properties in the Lekki-Ajah seaboard that you can pay 17,800 naira, a month, and there's a plan for that. So we're getting creative. Nobody's doing 5 beds, 6 beds anymore. What you find is Nigerians are making the adjustment, right? So I expect a very stable economy, or I expect a very stable real estate market. I think there might be a few surprises depending on how the CBN wakes up and decides on what they want to do. But the real estate markets will be stable next year. So let me try and break it down. Technically, when we say the real estate market, most people focus on residential, meaning houses to stay in, sleeping, and then, of course, land. But then you have different sectors. So retail, for example, I think was one of the first to get the idea. Retail malls being developed a few years ago were 20,000 square meters, 18,000 square meters, and they were building very fancy shops. Those guys got that, look, Nigerians can't really afford this thing. So they quickly cut down their sizes to 8,000 per mall or per retail. So they were building that. Footfall was going up, 10,000 a day, 5,000 a day, 12,000 a day. And they learned quickly that if you build anything big, you're wasting your time. So that's why till today, not many of these big malls have come up again. It's just 8,000. Second thing they learned, if you are not 30% entertainment, cinema, children's play area in Lagos, right, that retail project will fail.
Yes, that's a way of summarizing.
Yeah, and then, industrial, everybody is just, my point is that the various areas are making the adjustments. Okay. So next year, I expect a stable real estate market. I mean, for everybody, unfortunately, except the office, because the office, grade A offices, have to be especially creative because they are charging in dollars and they're charging per square meter. So they are charging between $550 to maybe $750 per square meter for rent alone. Service charge is probably something lower, maybe around 200, and then by the time you multiply that per annum for maybe 100 square meters, you know what that comes to. So they have to be very careful because not many people locally can pay that in rent. But everybody else seems to be, making the adjustment and then moving up. So,
all right. Thank you so very much, Ayo. I know there's never enough time.
Yeah.
Time flies where you are.
I wish we had more time. I didn't think it would.
It's all right.
All right.
It's good to have you on Business Matters.
Yeah.
Other viewers, as you've seen, perhaps the real estate outlook that we're having, as a matter of fact, will definitely be here and there, and then we are very much hopeful that the economics metrics and indexes will point us towards a direction where much more diversified and inclusive prosperity will be the experience of every single one of us. Well, Business Matter continues. Please stay tuned, and I'll be back.
Business matter. Let's talk business. Business matter. Business matter. Let's talk business. Business matter.
Economics have come to understand the impact of the real estate industry in driving not just the economy, but also improving the outlook of any society. The real estate industry is definitely here to stay, and the demand for housing is very important, as well as the mortgage that can help us to be able to bridge the gap when it comes to the housing deficit. This is so much we can take on Business Matters this week's edition. Please follow us on our different social media platforms, and definitely we're going to be back again. My name is Stephen Ipadabo Lawson. Bye for now.